Hello, everybody. This is Jessica and Nisha. Welcome to our webinar this evening, and thank you for joining us for the second part of this webinar series. If you have any questions, if there's any problem with feedback or sound, please feel free to send in the comment, and we can, or not even please feel free, please do, so we know what is going on. So I'm really excited about this second part of the webinar series. I think you'll all find it hugely beneficial. Nisha is going to be covering the Glimpse products kind of inside and out, very in depth. So I think it's a hugely beneficial series and really great information, and I'm so excited that you're all here to join us. So without further ado, I will turn you over to the wonderful, fabulous beauty expert and green skincare consultant, Nisha Hughes, or green formulation consultant, Nisha Hughes.
Thank you, Jessica. And it's my absolute pleasure to be with all of you this evening, and I want to say thank you so very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us this evening. Oh, just one moment. We're going to just fix something really quickly. Sorry for technical difficulties. We're going to just actually turn on the slideshow because we've just been informed that you're not seeing what you need to.
Beverly saved the day once again.
Yes, Beverly saved the day. Woo!
I love you too.
Okay. There we go.
Hello.
It wouldn't be one of our webinars with just a little bit of technical difficulty, right, everyone? So anyway, welcome this evening, and thank you again for taking time out of your busy schedule. I would be neglectful if I didn't give props to my girl Jessica, who is just an absolutely amazing human being and an incredibly talented master esthetician. If you have a question that is not addressed in the webinar series or that we do not have time to address this evening, please do not hesitate to contact Jessica. She is just an absolutely amazingly talented esthetician, and she can certainly address any questions that you may have.
And we also have had some questions that have come in this last week, not necessarily, excuse me, got a little congestion. Nisha made me laugh really hard before we began the webinar. So I've had a few questions come in this week, and they really weren't specifically for this webinar, but they actually fit really nicely into this webinar. And so we are going to be covering those questions, and I believe, Nisha,
we are going to be covering some modifications this evening. So we'll be letting you know how to use the cleansers as standalone products, and also some of the modifications that you can do with the cleansers in order to optimize your regimen. So we'll be covering that tonight. Also, the last thing I want to cover before we get rolling on here with It's All About Cleansing is just touch on the Glimpse Certified Trainer program that we're going to be starting here in the very near future. We were actually hoping to have some dates by this evening. We're still trying to nail those specific dates down, but as soon as we have them, you will be the first to know. We will be letting anyone who's attending the webinar series know first what exactly is going on with the Glimpse Certified Trainer program, and also exactly as very specific, not only dates, but a specific outline on the curriculum and what all we'll be covering with that. So please stay tuned. We hope to have that at the very latest by next week. So we appreciate your patience, and we can't wait to really give you all the details on that program.
yes.
So, quote of the evening, and there's only one this evening. It's not quote-tastic tonight. We're just sticking with one, and I really love this quote. Act as if what you do makes a difference. It does, and that's by William James. So I thought it was very appropriate for everything. Okay, for our syllabus tonight, to cleanse or not to cleanse. You'd be surprised at how many individuals I hear actually cleanse, sometimes not even once a day. So we'll be going into why that is important for your skin. Do you hear that a lot too, Jessica?
Yes.
That sometimes people aren't cleansing every day?
Yes.
We'll also be talking about how to choose an appropriate cleanser. and what ingredients to avoid in your cleanser. We're going to go into depth on the glimpse cleansers, how specifically to perform a proper cleanse, and of course then we'll be talking about cleanser modifications. So, under to cleanse or not to cleanse. This is why you should be cleansing twice a day. Your morning cleanse removes impurities and any metabolic byproducts or toxins or anything that is secreted by your skin during the night. And that does happen. Let's not forget that your skin is part of the excretory system. And while your body is rebuilding itself, it is using the skin, utilizing the skin to get rid of some of its toxic waste. So it's very important. I really believe, even if you have dry, delicate skin, that you've got to find an appropriate cleansing regimen for the morning. Don't you, Jessica?
Yes. And I don't know if you want to, maybe this is a bad time to talk about this because we might incorporate later, but what about people who over-cleanse their skin, oily skin?
Yes, and over-cleansing is just as bad as not cleansing enough. And I'll tell you why. When you're over-cleansing your skin, meaning if you're cleansing in the morning, midday, and the evening, or you're cleansing with a very aggressive stripping cleanser, what you're doing to your skin is, in essence, you're stimulating. You're stimulating that repair response, and in the long run, especially if you're suffering from an inflamed condition such as acne or rosacea, you're just adding fuel to the fire. That's my opinion on that. So I think that's an excellent point, Jessica. Your evening cleanse removes possible occlusive and potentially congesting agents such as sunblock, makeup. It also removes accumulated debris. So if you live in an urban area, trust me, pollution is collecting on the surface of your skin. And of course, your skin continues to throw out waste or toxins during the course of the day. Not in the same way it does in the evening, but it is happening. So we've got to take care of anything that's secreted through the skin over the course of the day. And that is why it's very important to cleanse in the evening. One additional point that I want to make for cleansing or not to cleanse, and you're going to hear me say this a lot throughout the webinar this evening, and I believe Jessica will be reiterating it too. Cleansing is critical. If you're trying to create a visible change in your skin, if you're not cleansing properly, you're not going to achieve the results that you want.
Yes.
Having said that, just to make sure that we're very clear on why it is so important to cleanse it in the morning and the night, in addition to these two main reasons, if you're not cleansing morning and night, you're also inhibiting the efficacy of any treatment products that you're applying to your skin because they're having to try and get through all of this accumulated debris that's on the surface of your skin.
Could they drive debris further into the skin
Certainly,
by doing it, or no?
Absolutely. Because those products are designed to be, your skin wants to absorb those products. So if there's, improper cleansing or no cleansing, and then you're applying a serum or a moisturizer over the top of that, you absolutely could be driving debris into your skin.
Yucky.
That's the technical term. Choose your cleanser wisely. This is very, very important. And I'll tell you why. So many of the facial cleansers out there, and body cleansers, but we're speaking specifically of facial cleansers right now, contain ingredients that are known by many cosmetic chemists to actually damage the skin while we're cleansing it. So we're not even talking about parabens or fragrances or anything of that nature. We're talking about the actual surfactants that perform the cleansing process. Those would be known as sulfates. Sulfates actually break down your skin. So we want to avoid damaging the skin while we're cleansing it. So the glimpse cleansers are sulfate free. Why these cleansers don't work? Well, because even though sulfates are very caustic, they actually have a hard time cutting through some material. In addition to that, if they're damaging your skin, I think it stands to reason that they're causing inflammation. So if you're having those tissues swell, you're not going to get as effective of a cleanse as if you were just really cleansing the skin with something nourishing I think that leads to a whole variety of problems. And I want to point out here that when I'm talking about inflammation, it isn't the same thing as the flush. Two different things.
Good point.
Yeah. So my top 2 ingredients to be avoided in cleansers, these aren't the only 2. There are actually quite a few that I would want you to avoid in cleansers, but I'm going to stick to my top 2. Those would be sulfates and fragrance. So please avoid those in any cleanser that you're.
And can you, I don't know, Mish, what you're going to cover this more in depth, but can you explain what sulfates do in a cleanser and how?
They're the surfactants. So sodium lauryl sulfate, or there's a whole family, but the end word is sulfate. So they're the surfactants. They're the actual cleanser or the detergent.
The suds,
yeah, they're part of the foam. They're what cut through the oil, anything that's accumulated on your face. Now, those surfactants are very aggressive. The reason that they're the go-to surfactant is you actually have to use very little in order to get the foam. And so they're inexpensive to use, but they're not very effective. That's been my experience, is that they not only are they damaging to the skin, but they actually don't really leave it too clean, which is why so many companies that have these sulfate-based cleansers have toners that really actually finish the job for the product.
But they sometimes give that feeling of the squeaky clean
Oh yeah,
feel.
because they're really stripping your skin.
Yes.
They're breaking everything down. And that's a very good point, Jessica, is you don't want that squeaky feeling. That's a sure sign that you've over-cleansed your skin.
I only say that because I know we've had a lot of, I've had questions, I know you have too, but just in the industry, but also in the last couple of weeks, but people saying, you know, when they use it, they're just used to that squeaky clean feeling, and so they have a hard time because they feel like their skin's not getting as clean. But
Well, what happens though, especially, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, usually these individuals are people that feel like their skin is excessively oily.
Yes.
And so what happens then is that they continue to use this very drying cleanser. You are potentially signaling your skin that your barrier is completely stripped, and so what's it going to do to try and recreate that barrier? It's going to put out more oil. But the other thing that you've also done is you're potentially leading to more congestion, because you've actually really over-dried that skin to the point where now that little sebum plug that may be developing in your pore is completely dried out, and it can no longer just slide out of the pore as it's designed to do. So there are a lot of things that can be potentially lead to a lot of problems with these overly caustic cleansers. So please avoid sulfates and fragrance. I mean, fragrance is so irritating. It's really something that should always be avoided in skincare. I mean, in everything really, but in skincare for sure.
good to know. Thank you for answering that, Misha.
Oh, my pleasure. I love questions. You know that. Okay, let's talk about the Glimpse Gel Cleanser. It contains, of course, Bioactive X3. Now, you've heard me say Bioactive X3 is in each and every product in the Glimpse line, and it absolutely is. But depending upon the activity that we want that product to have, we accentuate or we add in more of a certain part of Bioactive X3. In this case, it's the acidic complex or bioactive acidic that we've really bumped up. Remember, the acidic is excellent at inhibiting the proliferation of P. acnes and staph. And so we felt like it was a very critical thing to be really highlighting that in the gel cleanser. And I think so many of you, when we get into the modifications, have really benefited from the activity that you find with the acidic complex in the gel cleanser.
Mish, can you, I'm sorry, but
no, please
I'm
don't
sure
apologize.
Someone may have this question.
Okay.
I had the same question myself. Can you explain more about the acidic? I mean, where does it come from? I don't know 100% where, you know.
It's derived from the mangosteen. It's from the pericarp peel. And it's, again, remember when XANGO created Bioactive X3, in essence, you know, there's this long history about how amazing the pericarp peel was when it, you know, for skin issues of all sorts. I mean, historically, it's been used for many, many years to really help alleviate all sorts of skin conditions, you know, and poultices and whatnot. But really it's through biofermentation that XANGO was able to accentuate these really beneficial qualities of the pericarp to optimize it. And you'll hear me say that word a lot, but really what it is, it's all about really enhancing the bioavailability. I mean, mangosteen is very biologically active, but for your skin where things happen so quickly, it was really important to bring out those desired qualities and really heighten the bioavailability so your skin can uptake even more of the nutrient. So that's where acidic, it is from the pericarp peel. It's just that through that biofermentation, they've accentuated that desired quality from the pericarp peel. So does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Okay. In addition to Bioactive X3, there's shea butter. Yes, there is shea butter in the gel cleanser. It's important to have a little bit of a lipid even in a foaming cleanser because it really helps to start breaking down the oil. Of course, there's aloe vera. We don't talk about this enough, I don't think, anymore because there's so many things to talk about in Glimpse. But remember that all of the Glimpse products are based with a mangosteen infusion. So it's a mangosteen infusion that is the basis of all of the Glimpse formulas. And of course, we have some very gentle multi-fruit acids. I think that's important. I like to differentiate that the alpha hydroxy acids in Glimpse are botanically derived. There have been multiple studies done that botanically derived alpha hydroxy acids, you get a lot more benefit and you have any sort of minimized irritation with botanically derived alpha hydroxy acids as compared to those that are synthesized in a lab. In addition to that, the pH of the formulas really lends itself to being active but gentle, because we do want to stimulate the skin, but we don't want to overstimulate it. So more is not always better. Less is more, sometimes.
Sometimes.
And sometimes more is more. Let's talk a little bit about the cream cleanser. Now, I did this intentionally. You'll see that for the most part, the cream and the gel cleanser are very similar as far as the performance ingredients that are contained within those formulas. But notice, with the cream cleanser, what we've really loaded that up with is the bioactive pericarp oil. And that's significant. That is where, ladies and gentlemen, you're receiving that beautiful flush, is really from that particular ingredient. Of course, there's some synergy with some of the other ingredients going on in there, but it really is the pericarp oil that begins that glimpse flush. So, and we'll get more into that in just a moment. So, not only that, but remember, individuals that are usually drawn to creamy cleanser are those individuals that have been experiencing a drier state to their skin, and we really feel like it's important to proceed very gently with those skin types. So again, pericarp oil to the rescue. In addition to that, of course, we have shea butter, aloe vera, mangosteen infusion, and again, believe it or not, we do have some multi-fruit acids in the cream cleanser. It's very important that we're providing some turnover for even dry skin types. And in fact, when a drier skin type gets the right amount of exfoliation, not over exfoliation, but the right amount of gentle exfoliation, the skin is less dry. So, yes. What do you think about that, Jessica?
Opposite of what I would have thought.
Let's talk about the glimpse blush. Bring it on. I think this is important because I receive a lot of questions on flushing.
Yes.
Jessica, how about you?
Oh, yes. I'd say that's one of the #1 questions.
And I think the flush is critically important and really helps to initiate bringing around those really amazing visible benefits to your skin, and I'm going to tell you why. The biggest reason is that you're increasing blood flow to the epidermis. And though I think most of the individuals that are on this evening did have the opportunity to attend our last webinar, which was on skin structure. So remember, we're going to talk about the two main structures right now. We're talking about the epidermis, which is the very outer layer of the skin, and the dermis. Now, your epidermis, that the part of your skin that everyone sees, is a non-vascular structure, meaning there are no vessels that go into the epidermis. It's completely reliant on the dermis for its nutrition and also for its detoxification. Now, when we're young, this is very efficient, and it happens very quickly, and your skin just works absolutely, perfectly. But as we age, one of the things that happens is that dermis is not supporting the epidermis as much as it needs, because the epidermis, let's not forget, is under a tremendous amount of stress. Not only what we do to it from our environmental, whether it's UV or, excessive anything, let's talk about my thing, nachos, whatever, my addiction, anything. What we do to it environmentally, but also what's happening, I guess that would be more of an internal thing. Excuse me, my nacho thing is an internal thing. I kind of lost my train of thought there for a second. But what I'm saying is this. It's very important for the health of your skin that you're supplementing internally and externally. So we need nutrients, both that we take on a daily basis internally, and we also need to topically supplement for our skin's overall greatest health. I believe that wholeheartedly. It's very important. The flush is a critical part of that because you're increasing nutrient-rich blood flow to the dermis. You're also helping that epidermis, when it's charged up like that, you're going to really maximize any activity that are in your serums or toners, serums, moisturizers, what have you. And again, I can't stress enough how important it is to really help the skin increase detoxification, and the flush absolutely helps with that.
And I just want to say here, we have received a few questions. They're relevant to the information that's being covered right now with the cleansers and the difference in the cleansers, but I think they may fit a little bit better into the modification portion.
Okay.
So do you want me to wait until that point and then cover?
We can do it however you'd like to do. We can do it in the modifications, or we can do it right now.
Okay, well, maybe what we should do is just, if you have questions that come up along the way that you would like answered based off any of this information, why don't you just submit it? So keep the questions coming in, and then we get to the Q&A and the modifications, we can go over all this, because I'm sure if you have a question, somebody else has the same question, it would benefit everybody. So then we can keep the information just rolling here. So
perfect. Okay, cleansing how-to. Again, cleansing is important to do morning and night. Any reiteration of that, Jess?
It's very important.
Usage. Please use enough of the product to cleanse your skin effectively. It doesn't matter how well product is formulated. If you're using a pea-sized amount to cleanse your face, that isn't enough product. We want you to use a cap-sized amount of the product for each cleanse.
So that's the cap, not to break it down, simplify, the cap of the glint. If you look at the Glint's cleanser that you have, and that's a good rule of thumb if you're using any cleanser, but especially the Glint's cleansers, the cap size of the Glint's cleanser is about what you need to use.
Yes, definitely.
I think we see that more than anything when we go out and we're asking, people are helping with demos, or we're asking, okay, they have a question, and we say, okay, what's going on? Show me how much you're using. It's amazing how much people are, how very little of the cleanser they are actually using.
Yes, so please use enough so that you're really achieving that great cleanse, because if you're not, you're wasting your other products, I feel. I mean, not completely wasting, but you're definitely not getting the full benefit from any subsequent products that are applied to your skin. Cleanse for an appropriate amount of time. This kills me, because I think, and I'm guilty of it just like everyone else, but sometimes we just put our cleanser on and remove it. And, even with our toothbrushes, if you've got an electronic toothbrush, you sit and brush your teeth for 2 minutes. Now, I'm not saying you have to wash your face for 2 minutes every night. I mean, we can get into how sometimes that actually is beneficial to do a little bit longer cleanse, you know, a couple times a week. But take some time to massage the product over your skin and really let it do what it's supposed to do for your skin, which is to remove debris. So massage it over your skin, go over several times, and then, of course, remove the product. I prefer using a clean cotton washcloth every single time you're cleansing your skin. That's my personal preference, and then, of course, splashing to rinse. I skipped one of my bullet points, which is to double cleanse in the evening. Absolutely critical, especially if you're wearing makeup, sunblock, anything that really needs to just be thoroughly removed from your skin in order to really have your skin ready to receive the topical nutrients that are about to be applied.
So double cleansing, you're saying, is cleanse thoroughly as you suggested one time, rinse it thoroughly, and then do that same procedure one more time.
Yes.
Okay.
And everyone, especially everyone, should be doing that. But if you're suffering from rosacea or acne, you will notice a tremendous benefit from performing a double cleanse in the evening and removing the product very, very thoroughly before you move on to the rest of your regimen.
Perfect. Thank you, Mish.
My pleasure. Modifications. Oh, did I just sing that on the webinar? Whoops.
Do you want me to leave this here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So shall we address some of those
Yes.
questions or some that you received earlier this week?
And let me
via
open
email?
these up here. This is why I was wanting to do it this way, because I have to open up the screen here. So let's see if I can get this. Just give us 2 seconds here. And is this a time now, Misha, where people have questions to
Yes,
send them
please.
in?
If you have any questions, send them in.
Okay. Okay, so this is the first question we have. This is from Annette, and she said, so why, if you have rosacea, would you use the gel cleanser instead, I'm guessing that means instead of the creamy cleanser. And while you answer this, I'm going to figure out the screen, Misha.
That's actually a really excellent question, Annette. I always recommend using the gel cleanser because I like to think of the cleansers in this way. Rather than the gel cleansers for oily and the creamy cleansers for dry, because I think so many individuals out there actually have skin conditions that are based upon using the wrong products or overly caustic products. I think a lot of individuals, when they switch to Glints, discovered that they actually don't have dry skin. It's just that they were using an extremely irritating cleanser. So if you look at the cleansers as the gel cleanser is cooling and more of a cooling type of a cleanse, and the creamy cleanser is actually, although it's very soothing, it's also very stimulating. Meaning, remember, that is if you're going for that glimpse flush and you're really trying to bring that on, that's your go-to product. Certainly some of the other glimpse products build upon that, but that cleanser really is a beautifully stimulating product. Not overstimulating, but stimulating. So for rosacea, when you're dealing with a very inflamed skin condition, and quite typically someone with rosacea has had that condition for a while, so we're talking about really high levels of elevated chronic inflammation, the last thing we want to do is start stimulating that. That doesn't mean if they get their rosacea under control, they can't benefit from the glimpse cleanser. It's just the first thing we need to do with that
creamy
skin.
cleanser?
The creamy cleanser, yes. The first thing we need to do with that skin is start cooling it down. And I think the gel cleanser is absolutely amazing at doing that. In addition to that, again, let's not forget the activity of the acidic extract. It's very, it lends itself well to conditions such as rosacea.
And I think this could, is it okay if I interject?
Please, of course.
I think this could be said for, in general, sensitive skin types as well. Someone with very reactive skin that knows they have that, a lot of people, even if you explain what the benefit to the flush, when their skin goes through kind of a reaction, they're not.
Yes, well, and I think typically, Jessica, many individuals out there are not used to using something that is very performance-driven or a results-oriented skincare line, which Glimpse very much is. And so, absolutely, I think you bring up a really good point. Also, when we're talking about acclimating the skin to pure performance, which is what Glimpse is, there are other modifications that we can make, such as if you're using the gel cleanser and you're getting great benefit from that and things are starting to progress the way you want, don't be afraid to introduce a little bit of the creamy cleanser.
And that goes to a question that Marilyn just asked. Can the gel and creamy be used together in a smoothie?
Yes. The smoothie is my preferred method of cleansing. I really enjoy it. Now, my smoothie may be different from Jessica's smoothie. I actually use 2/3 gel cleanser and 1/3 creamy cleanser when I'm doing mine. I think there are other individuals out there that do half and half. Again, this really comes into, Marilyn, listening to what your skin needs in that particular moment and being able to address it with the green performance that Glimpse has to offer. So, excellent question.
Yes, very good question.
You too, Annette. Thank you so much for your question.
So Carrie is asking, should you rinse your face with warm water prior to cleansing? Would this help open pores?
Carrie, that's actually a really good question. If you're going to do kind of in essence what estheticians would do with the steamer, you know, and relax those little pores to get a deep cleanse, which I actually wouldn't recommend doing every day. I would do it after your first cleanse. So if you do one cleanse, remove a lot of that heavy debris that's on the surface of the skin, go ahead and you can use, I wouldn't splash really warm water on your face. I would saturate a cotton washcloth with warmer water and maybe press it up to your face. You know, depending upon your sensitivity and your reactivity of your skin, you know, you can either actually touch your skin with it or maybe even just hold it away from your face a little bit so you're just getting the benefit of the steam, and then you could do your second cleanse if you're going to do the steam. And again, I don't recommend doing that every night because when we're talking about steaming, a little bit is beneficial and overdoing it can lend itself to stripping the skin. So you want to be careful with that. I do think absolutely though if you're going to do a deep cleanse once or twice a week, you can certainly do that. But don't just splash superheated water on your face. That's too much. Do the little washcloth steam.
Perfect.
Do you have any input on that, Jess?
No, I think yes.
Okay.
And there's another question coming in from Marilyn, but I think it's actually a whole other topic which we were going to talk about anyways that we could bring up, and that is leaving the cleansers on as masks. And Marilyn's question is, the creamy cleanser absorbs easily. Is it okay to leave it on and go to sleep? But I think really this is a whole discussion as far as the cleansers and masks.
Yes.
What do you think?
We've now entered mask talk. I wish we had a theme song or something like that. But certainly, Marilyn, if that's working for you, I think it's absolutely A-okay. I don't think everyone could do that,
right?
But I do think it's absolutely beneficial for many individuals. I think either of the cleansers can be used as masks. Again, depending upon the individual's needs for their skin. And let's not forget, I mean, we can generalize a little bit, but there are as many different skin types on the earth as there are people. So we all have very individualized situations. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean that we all don't need the same nutrients for our skin to work or to become its best skin. We certainly do. But sometimes we need a little bit different tweaking for our regimen, or we need a little bit different vehicle for those nutrients to get into our skin. So I think absolutely the gel cleanser and the creamy cleanser make amazing masks. I'm a person that loves the gel cleanser for a mask. I could not sleep in it overnight. It would be overstimulating, even the gel cleanser being the cooling kind of product that it is, would be, if I slept in it overnight, it would be too much for my skin. How about you, Jessica? Let's just use ourselves as an example.
Well, I use the gel cleanser, so I haven't done it overnight. But that's because I've got to put my 5 layers of moisturizing cream on at night. So that was exaggerated, so I'm 4. But I actually use the gel cleanser every single day. So I just keep my cleansers in the shower. I wash my skin once for the first cleanse, and then I leave the second layer on, and I apply the same amount, cap-size amount. I prefer the gel, but I actually do oftentimes mix the gel and creamy together. And then I leave it on just while I'm in the shower, so it's maybe on, depending on how long my shower is, but roughly, or average, probably 5 minutes every single day. And I find that small amount every single day isn't too overstimulating, but gives my skin just the right amount of exfoliation. And I think maybe what we could cover here, Nisha wants to elaborate on it, is why individuals really even started first doing this. And I think for me, like going back to it, it's for a little bit of that exfoliation. And so that's really, isn't that the primary benefit?
Yes.
Is to incorporate.
Yes, especially with the gel cleanser. It's more about exfoliation. With the creamy cleanser, it's a combination of that. That's, the creamy cleanser is, I think, a very amazing product, and I think that of the gel as well. But the creamy cleanser has that really super mild exfoliation, but you have that stimulating aspect, and so it's really about keying into really getting the skin charged up, is what I would say, which oftentimes skin that's expressing itself with dry irritation really needs that stimulation in order to really start, getting things revved up. Whereas oily or overactive skin really needs help cooling down and really needs some help with decongesting certain areas.
Which is why someone who maybe is a little prone to breaking out or something like, or a little acne prone, or breakout prone, I should say, could benefit from leaving it on here and there.
Yes. But the key here, and Jessica brings up an excellent point, is, it's better when you're talking about masking with either of the cleansers, it's much better to proceed slowly than to just start off with sleeping with it all night long.
Yes.
I think it's much better to, start leaving it on a couple minutes. Once you're achieving some results, some desired results with that, push it out a little bit longer, and until you get to the point where you're like, oh, okay, I can tell I may have overdone it just a little bit here. So for me, it's always proceed with caution, especially with individuals, that have problems with breakout or rosacea. It's traumatizing, and no one wants that condition worsened.
Misha,
we really want to minimize it. No,
I actually was thinking this is a good question. I believe it was Diana I was working with this week, and she was saying she had heard from someone who was suffering, it was a teenager, I believe, but suffering from breaking out, and she had heard to cut back on the products and just use the cleanser. To see, is this why, is this...
Was it blackheads or was it cystic?
Well, I think it was more cystic acne prone, and she had heard to back off and just start with the cleanser. Yeah,
if you have anyone, if you yourself or anyone in your upline, downline, your organization, a friend of yours has tried Glimpse, and they just started using all of the products, and if they break out, if they have reactive skin and it starts breaking out, it is best to back off to just the gel cleanser. Yes, because that's just the nature of that skin. It doesn't mean that the products aren't going to work for them. It's just reactive skin is very resistant to change.
Or reactive people.
Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't like too much change too quickly. So you really have to ease that skin into it, because if it gets too much and too much stimulation, it's going to just start really getting bumpy.
Active.
Yes, very active. After they've backed off and just started using the gel cleanser, my recommendation is always to then introduce the cream, believe it or not. The cream is very soothing. I find it's very helpful with individuals that are prone to acne or rosacea. If that individual is very concerned with the cream being too heavy, have them mix it with the serum and create a lighter hydrator with those two products mixed together. Again, we'll be getting into the moisturizers in a later webinar, so I don't want to go into it too much, but just as with the cleansers, you've got to think of the moisturizers in the same way, where the cream actually is more like a time-released nutrient, and the lotion is, let's do it and let's get things in there quickly. So cream, more soothing, lotion, very beneficial. but also more stimulating. So if you look at it that way, then you can see why individuals with acne or rosacea are going to benefit more from the cream initially. Having said that, once they get their condition under control, they benefit very much from the use of both the cleansing cream and also the lotion.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think another modification here, I'm thinking of questions I've had throughout, in general that we just received for a long time, but using the cleansers, I've had questions come in saying, well, there's, you don't have a makeup remover, a specific makeup remover, but I've always had really great success at night when I have makeup on, doing the creamy cleanser really thoroughly, and then once I can see it's all off, then following up with the gel.
That's what I do as well. And I think a lot of times I would say not to use a foaming cleanser on your lashes, but remember this is free of sulfates, so I don't have any problem. I haven't noticed any excessive lash breakage or loss or anything.
No, and
like
I've used it too, the gel cleanser bulb. I just find with the creamy, I can see it kind of breaking everything down, and you can see
I love the creamy first, and then I follow with the gel.
So,
and then I, of course, do my little 5 layers around my eyes with the moisturizing cream mixed with the lotion. That's
so I think that's a question that can be addressed, is they really can. You don't really need, a specific makeup remover. When you use a makeup remover, in my experience, you need a cleanser that then break down the makeup remover that you've used everywhere.
Yes. Well,
aren't they
Yeah.
Control you might not even know what's in it.
Well, first of all, please never ever use mineral oil to remove your eye makeup with. Not good. Please
Which
don't
I
do
think
that.
is the base of a lot of those
It is.
liquid.
Well, yeah, we all know about the ones that we all are very familiar with. The one that Jess and I have, that you shake and it separates, and yeah, that's mineral oil with some other very caustic agents in that formula. I would never consider using that around my eye. I absolutely use the Glimpse cleansers as my eye makeup remover. My preference is the creamy cleanser, but on my last trip, I actually forgot to take my tube of creamy cleanser. I know, it was traumatic. I almost just said, oh, oops, we don't have one for the demo. No, I'm kidding. I would never do that. But I use just the gel cleanser to remove my eye makeup with. So very effective. I've had absolutely zero problems with eye irritation or anything like that. So I always feel very confident in recommending either of those.
I think the key here, though, is using enough of the product. I was talking to a woman last week, and she was saying she was just not having great success. And then we started talking about how much she was using, and I think that was really, it was kind of an eye-opening where they were realizing I'm just not using.
Yes.
I mean a lot. I used the full capsize amount the first cleanse. At least that takes my whole neck and chest and face.
I think that's for each of the formulas. You really got to be using enough of the product to get your desired result. Now remember what we talked about in the webinar about the skincare business. This is, the skincare business is very much a word-of-mouth business. People notice if you're having improvements to your skin, they're like, oh my goodness, what are you using on your skin? You can absolutely use yourself as your best advertising. But if you're going to do that, you've got to be using enough of the product that you're creating, again, that very dramatic visual benefit that you can get with Glimpse. It's absolutely achievable, but you've got to be diligent about performing your regimen twice a day and be using enough of the product.
I think another question we get all the time is somebody who has psoriasis or eczema using cleansers. I was thinking more of addressing the fact of using a cleanser that's based the ingredients of Glimpse over another cleanser that might have something like sodium lauryl sulfate or fragrance. Is there more benefit to using a cleanser that has free of a lot of those same things, even if it's active?
I think so. In the case of psoriasis where you have plaques and sometimes you have fissures in those plaques, and you also can have, or cracks, but you can also have cracks with eczema, and then you've got to be very careful because anything can be quite, can really cause stinging.
In my experience, fragrance, using different chemicals,
Yes,
not to bash the other cleansers. I'm just saying it seems fragrance just really aggravates.
Fragrance does aggravate any sort of inflamed skin condition. Fragrance irritates healthy skin. I mean, we know that's one of the leading causes of contact dermatitis in the United States. So fragrance is caustic. So absolutely, and I think in the case of psoriasis, where you've got a buildup of, an over buildup of skin cells, so an individual may benefit from the exfoliation properties that both the gel and the creamy cleanser can provide. Again, though, when we're talking about these sorts of skin conditions, I can tell you without a doubt that the Glimpse formulas are gentle, safe, effective, but when you're talking about this sort of skin condition, please proceed with caution.
Yes. Yes. And what works for one does not work for another.
But I think many of these formulas out there, as far as like body washes, some of even the ones that are quote unquote medicated, actually have ingredients that, in my opinion, lead to more irritation rather than helping to alleviate the individual from some of the uncomfortableness of that skin condition. So don't be afraid to experiment, but please proceed with caution.
And of course, if you have a specific question or you're working with a specific condition, that's where you can get involved, because there really is no, I mean, in my experience, there's no, we're not saying the Glimpse cleansers cure or help these, but we do know that we can work with individuals and hopefully get some results by adjusting it for those people. So.
Absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, again, if you're suffering from those conditions, don't hesitate to get in contact with us. And the next slide is our contact information. And let us help you work your way through whatever skin issue you're having. So
okay, there you go. There it is. That's nice. So
is your name spelled correctly on this one?
Yes, my name is spelled correctly on that one. So we'll leave the contact information up. If you have any more questions, we will wait. I don't know about next week, Nisha, but we really wanted to leave this next series where they're covering a lot of products open for modifications and Q&A.
Yes.
I think this is the best time to address that. So
absolutely. So if we didn't cover your question this evening, or if you didn't have the opportunity to send in your question, please send it in to Jessica and we'll address it in next week's webinar. Because as we just start, going into each of the Glimpse formulas, all questions are, of course, relevant. So please don't hesitate to send her your questions. Also, I think, Jessica, we as you know, many of our previous webinars are posted on the blog. Yes. And we were going to remove those tomorrow morning, but we're going to leave them up for one more weekend before we remove those. So if you have anyone that hasn't had the opportunity to listen to those webinars, they are still available on the Glimpse blog and will be until Monday morning.
Until Monday morning. We just had a little demand for those to be kept up. Some people weren't able to get to that, so please push anyone you know that would like that information or could benefit from that information to go to those webinars before we start the new series.
Yes.
So next week's webinar series is available. It should be up on the Glimpse blog right there, www.glimpse. Oh, is that not on there? Well, I'll give you the address. No, it's fine. You can sign up, and I'm sure most of you have gone through. In fact, I know most of you have gone through the webinar to sign up, through the Glimpse blog to sign up for the webinar. But that is where you can sign up for the webinars unless someone sends you the link directly. So I will give you that address. And I believe that you can sign up for next week's already. It should be up on there. If for some reason it's not, it will be by tomorrow morning, but I believe it's up there. So, and that webinar next week is topical antioxidants. So,
yay!
And you'll be covering probably the serum and all of that good stuff.
And the toner. Oh, it's exciting.
So that address is www.glimpseblog.com. Again, www.glimpseblog, I forget that W when I'm saying it, glimpseblog.com. And if you just go, it should be on the home page. We've kind of left it on the home page as the first article when you get there, so it's very easy to access. But if not, you can scroll to the top of the blog, and it has a tab that says Skin 101 webinar. Just click on it. That's where you can sign up for the new webinars and also access the previous webinars. So I guess that's about it. People are saying some nice here, signing off. So thank you, and thank you for joining us, and thank you for our support of the webinar. So thank you, Misha, for all your amazing information.
It's my pleasure. My pleasure.